was 15 years old. One of the times I was in Schumann, juvenile detention center. And I already went to court, already got sentenced to a placement for up to a year, but I was just waiting for a bed to open up. So until it does, you gotta wait there. And so they had a lot of people that would come and volunteer, different services they offered. And they weren't mandatory, but a lot of times you would go out to them just because one, it got you out the pod. And two, if you had any contraband, if people were exchanging or did their thing, that was the place, because you wouldn't get strip searched when you came back in and out from these things. And so they had a lot of different Christian people coming in. I never felt like I could relate to them. A lot of times they, no disrespect, but they were older and I just didn't feel the relatability, except for one time. One time there was a group of people and they came in and they were putting on this skit. I remember to this day, what it was, there was a man who was found guilty, a criminal, and he was sentenced to be electrocuted. So here's the scene. So the police are walking this guy into this room, to this chair, to the electric chair. And the whole time he's fighting and he's screaming him. And they get him down in the chair, they strap him in the chair. The whole time he's yelling, he's hollering. Then it gets quiet. Then a man comes in the room playing Jesus. And when the criminal sees him, he's hollering at him. Where were you my whole life? Why you coming out? Where were you when I was a kid and all these things happened? Where were you, God? Jesus doesn't say anything. If he approaches the man, the whole time the guy's still hollering at him. Jesus comes up to him and he bends down to his legs. He unstraps the straps. He unstraps the straps on his hands and he takes the helmet off his head. The man stands up and he hugs him and he says, "Thank you." And then the man's about to leave, but he turns and he sees that Jesus sat down in a chair. And he's starting to put the straps around his feet. He puts the helmet down on his head and the straps around his hand. And the guy says, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You don't got to do this. Why are you doing this? You don't got to do this." The whole time, Jesus was silent. Then all of a sudden, they shut the lights off. When they turned them on, his head was down. See, at the time, I didn't understand the implications of what that meant. I didn't understand that Christ was paying the death for this man's sins, and that he had to die in place of him for the punishment of his sin. This was 25 years ago, and I still remember it, still impacted me. And at the time, I didn't think it did. I still lived another decade living a life of crime and destruction, but see, never minimize the impact you're having on someone's life. Maybe someone in their lives that they strayed and they may have strayed from God from a long time. Don't give up on that person. But we all impact people, for the good or the bad. Whether you want to or not, you're impacting the people closest to you. Especially for us parents, us fathers, grandparents. Everyone who's around us is going to be impacted one way, influenced one way or another. Don't lose sight on that. Don't lose sight on your mission, that the people God has placed you around is for a reason. And look, we're going to do more honesty in our day-to-day lives. We're going to impact people greater, my day-to-day life, than any video. It's a tool and it can be used, but it's in our day-to-day lives, the people closest to us, that we have the greatest impact.